Good morning to all. Just can any one of you can unmute your mic and tell me whether screen is visible or not?
Yes, sir, visible.
It is
Good
visible.
morning, sir.
Okay. Good morning. So last time we started with introduction of ARM processor. Today we will discuss ARM architecture. Now all of you are very much familiar with what are the features directly adopted in ARM processor. So we studied the RISC architecture, and now all of you are very much comfortable about that what are the features of RISC processor directly adopted in ARM processor, and there are some features which are rejected in ARM processor. So in our last lecture we have seen this introduction. We also discuss different ARM versions. We also discuss that in this course we will be focusing on ARM 7 TDMI architecture. So whatever architecture I will discuss today, that will be based on ARM 7 TDMI. So we will be looking at ARM registers. You have studied last semester AVR microcontroller, you studied the programming model of AVR. In this session we will be discussing the programming model of ARM processor. We will also look at CPSR SPSR format. CPSR and SPSR format means it is a current program status register and saved program status registers. It is very much similar to it's a flag register, kind of a flag register, where different flags like carry flag, sign flag, zero flag, parity flag, overflow flag. So similar types of flags are available that we will discuss. Then also we will discuss what are the registers available in a thumb mode. Last time we discussed the thumb mode. So whenever you operate ARM in a thumb mode, you will be able to use instruction with a 16-bit length. So because of that thumb mode, I would like to ask some student that what is the advantage of thumb mode architecture. Can anybody tell me what is the advantage of thumb mode?
हेलो सर.
हाँ जी, प्लीज.
સર થંબ મોડમાં હે ને આપણે 32 બીટ નું પ્રોસેસર હોય ને એને 16 બીટમાં આપણે પ્રોગ્રામ કરી શકીએ.
Very good. Okay. Okay. So if your application do not require 32 bit, then you can use 16 bit. So the advantage is that your hex code will be less. So file ultimately you will be getting a machine code file finally to execute on a machine. So your machine code file size will be less if you are using a thumb mode. And then we will be looking at the pipelining organization. Next time in the next lecture we will be looking at ARM exceptions, that is nothing but very much similar to interrupts, and then various operating modes of ARM that we will discuss during the next session. So first of all I will give you architectural overview of ARM processor. Just tell me one feedback that whether whatever slide I am sharing just now is visible on the screen of all of you or not. It is related to ARM architecture. Okay, it is visible. Fine, good. So in an ARM architecture, as we know that it is a 32 bit, so address bus as you can see here is A0 to 31. So total 32 bit address bus is available here. Then there is an incrementer. So as all of you know that once the one instruction is executed, program counter will be automatically incremented to execute the next instruction. So there will be an incrementer. Then there is a register bank. So this register bank is having a number of registers R0 to R15. So this register bank stores the processor stat. It has 2 read port and 1 write port. So this is a peculiarity compared to AVR microcontroller. Here there are the registers are having a 2 read ports and 1 write port. So because of that, reading and writing process you can do simultaneously because of the separate ports are available. Later on, when we will discuss the instruction set of ARM processor, I will come back to this point why 2 read ports are necessary and why 1 write port is necessary, why only 1 port is not sufficient. Then it has a barrel shifter. Barrel shifter is used to shift or rotate one operand by any number of bits. It is combinational circuit which maximize the hardware use. See, you must have studied the shift registers. So in a shift registers, if you want to shift any hex code for a 5 number of bit positions, shift left or shift right, then you require a 5 clock cycle. But the advantage of this barrel shifter is that you can use only 1 instruction cycle or a 1 clock pulse to shift any number of times. So you will be able to rotate 1 operand by any number of bits in a single cycle. So that is the advantage of barrel shifter. And one more feature of ARM processor is that you can use this barrel shifter along with any instruction. Later on I will discuss with you some example of instructions where you will be able to use the barrel shifter along with the instructions. So for example, with a move instruction, add instruction, subtraction instruction, logical OR and exclusive OR kind of instructions. So with every instructions you will be able to use the barrel shifter along with the instruction set. So we will give more focus whenever we will discuss the assembly language instruction set. Then there is a address register and incrementer that selects and hold memory addresses and generates the sequential addresses whenever required. So all of you know that there is a program counter. So in ARM register R15 is there. R15 is having a special role of a program counter. So always program counter copy will be available in a R15 register, and all the instructions will be executed one by one. So there is a incrementer is required. So after execution of one instruction, we have to increment to the next instruction. Meanwhile, I will just will stop sharing this screen and will ask you if you have any doubt in your mind. Is there any doubt?
Sir,
okay. Is there any doubt in this architecture?
સર હમણાં લાસ્ટ હું કીધું તમે
R15 is actually having a special register which holds the program counter value. So there are in ARM processor R13, R14 and R15 are special registers where R13 is a stack pointer, R14 is a link register and R15 is a program counter. So special job is given to all these registers. Is it clear? Okay.
હા સર. સર
Okay.
લિંક રજિસ્ટર શું કહેવાય?
Suppose if you say if you are in a main program and if you are executing some interrupt routine, then basically you are changing the address. You are going from main program to the interrupt location. So somewhere you have to store the address of your main program. So that address will be stored in this link register, so that whenever you want to come back from the interrupt routine or whenever you want to come back from the subroutine, then you will be able to come back to the same location where you left. So that's the purpose of link register.
તો સર આ બીજી બધી કંટ્રોલરમાં તો સ્ટેક પોઇન્ટરમાં
Yes. So basically, there are some differences between the other controller and my ARM microcontroller, because this is what we are designing for a real-time operation. Of course, stack pointer is also available in ARM processor, but a large number of registers are given So we will try to utilize, we will write a program in such a way that, you require a stack pointer minimum, so that you don't require to store all the registers from whenever you are switching from main program to subroutine. You should not require more time, because whenever you are using a stack memory, you require a lot of time to save your value of general purpose registers to the stack. And whenever you are coming back from the subroutine to main program, you have to pop up all the values from stack to your general purpose register. So we have to minimize that operations for a better throughput actually. But whenever there is no urgency or no real time requirement, we can certainly use the stack memory. Okay, so again I will share the slides with you. Is this slide is visible to all of you? Architecture of ARM7 TDMI. Okay. So in this slide, actually, this is just explanation of the previous block diagram which I shown to you. Register bank stores the processor state. It has a 2 read port and 1 write port. These ports can be used to access any register. Barrel shifter used to shift or rotate one operand by any number of bits. It is a combinational circuit which maximizes the hardware use. All of you must be knowing the difference between combinational circuit and sequential circuit. Address register and incrementer selects and hold all memory addresses and generates sequential addresses as and when required. Auto increment and auto decrement facility is available. Load and store multiple data block, that is also available. So we will see the special instructions available in ARM processor for this particular purpose. In a single cycle, a data processing instruction, 2 register operands are accessed. Value of B bus is shifted and combined with value of A bus in ALU, and result is written back into the register bank. I will show you the architecture diagram once again to show you the A bus and B bus separately. In this architecture diagram, as you can see here, there is a B bus is visible, and on this side there is a A bus is visible. So I will show you one instruction in which some of the contents, whenever you want to use barrel shifter along with your instruction, then whatever the register you want to shift, that is normally used with a B bus, and others is used with a bus. So in between I will stop sharing this screen and I will share you another screen in which I will explain you this with help of a one assembly language instruction. Is this my OneNote screen is visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's say I am writing this instruction, move R1, R2, LSL 2. Now R1 and R2 are basically general purpose registers available in ARM. So in this instruction what we are doing is that we are shifting this content of R2 in a left direction by 2 positions. So it is a logical shift left. So we are shifting R2 logically 2 times in left direction. So for example, if I consider initially value of R2 as it is basically 32 bit, but for simplicity I will show you example of 1 bit, 8 bit. Let's say this is the value of R2, and when you do this R2 shifting, logically shifting, whenever you say that LSL 2 of this R2, then it will be logically shifted to position on left side, so it will be resulted into this content. So zeros will be inserted and on the right side, and then entire content will be rotated to the left side. So this content will be transferred to R1. So ultimately when we give this instruction, the R1 value will be like this. R1 will be 0x11001100. So in this case, this value of R2, which was previously 0x1110011, if you convert that into hex value, it is the 0xF3. This value will be loaded into the R2, but R2 will be using a B bus, because our barrel shifter is connected with a B bus. So because we want to operate shifting operation on R2, so this R2 will be loaded on a B bus, and then R1 will be using a bus. So the content of R2 will be shifted logically by 2, and then it will be transferred to R1. Similarly, we can also write instruction in this way: add R1 R2 LSL2. So in this case, what will happen? The value of R1 will R2 will be logically shifted by 2 in a left side, and all of you know that whenever you shift any number on a left side by 1 bit position, it will be multiplied by 2. For example, if I will show you that, let's say we have a number like this 0000010. This is actually a number 2, but if we shift this number to left, then it becomes 4. Again, if we shift it, it becomes 8. So every one shift left will multiply your number by 2. So ultimately what this instruction will do, add R1 R2 LSL2, what it will do is add R1 will be equal to R1 plus 4 into R2. So this R2 content will be multiplied by 4 because of this shift left operation, and then it will be added to R1. So finally your destination register will be also R1. So final content will be saved back to the R1 register. So is this operation is very much clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So here there is a use of A bus and B bus. So R2 will be using the B bus and R1 will be using a bus. Okay, any question in your mind? Okay. You may ask a question if it is there in your mind.
સર ક્યારે એ બસ માં સ્ટોર થાય ને ક્યારે બી બસ માં નથી થતું.
For example, if you write instruction in this way, I will write you another example here. Let's say add R2. I will reverse the sequence of R2 R1 and LSL 2. So in this case, we require the shifting operation on R1. So R1 should be the B bus should be used by R1, because we want shifting operation on R1, not on R2. So because in our architecture, I will share you that screen again. Is this architecture is visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then you can see that barrel shifter is connected with a B bus, and that's why the second register which we specify in instruction, only with that register we can use the shifting operation. For A we cannot use because A is not connected with a barrel shifter.
ઓકે સર.
Right.
અને જો સર એમાં શિફ્ટિંગ ઓપરેશન જ ન હોય, બધા ખાલી એડ સિમ્પલ એડ ઓપરેશન જ હોય, તો બે એ બસ માં રજિસ્ટર સ્ટોર થાય ને બે.
Yes. If it is not there, for example, if I will give you another instruction here. Let's say we have an instruction like this: move R1 R2, or let me tell you it is actually old instruction set, nowadays not useful, but it is something like this: add R1, R2, R3. So this instruction means R1 is equal to R2 plus R3. So in this case, no matter, we are not using barrel shifter here. So R2 can be placed either on A or B, R3 can be placed either on A or B. But normally the first one is placed on A bus and second one is placed on the B bus, and this first one is normally a destination.
Okay, sir.
Then all of you know that there is a hardware multiplier is available in ARM processor. So this multiplier block is very much useful, because when you do the software multiplication, it takes a lot of time. So whatever register available on A bus, whatever register available on B bus, this hardware multiplier can multiply it within a single cycle. So it requires only one instruction cycle to complete the multiplication. While in other controllers and processors, multiplication operations requires more number of cycles. So that's actually advantage of hardware multiplier available in a ARM processor. Instruction decode and control is very much similar to other microprocessor and controller, like it will fetch the instruction from the memory, it will decode it, and after decode it will come to know what type of instruction it is, whether it is just a data transfer instruction, or whether it is arithmetical operation, or whether it is a logical operation. So depending on a nature of instruction, it will send the control signals. And there are two registers, data out register and data in register. So there are D0 to D31. So this is a data bus. Data bus is also having a width of 32 bit, and there are two registers are available. And then there is a this green color bus is shown as the ALU bus, arithmetic logical unit bus. So it will basically it will connect all registers with your ALU. So whatever the result of ALU after arithmetic and logical operations, that result will be written back to the registers with help of this ALU bus. So basically, as we have seen that every register has a 2 read port and 1 write port. So this is actually a write port, and these 2 are the read ports. So there are 3 ports are available with every register in ARM processor. I think let us go back to the next slide again. This already we have discussed. So in a single data processing instruction, 2 register operands are accessed. Value of B bus is shifted and combined with value of A bus in ALU, as we have seen in our example, and the result is written back to the register bank. Program counter value is in address register, from where it is fed to incrementer. Incremented value of PC, that is program counter, is copied back to register R15. So that means register R15 will always hold value of program counter. It is a special register. So as and when if you want to know what is the value of program counter, you can just read the content of register R15 and you will get the value of program counter. This is one simplified block diagram of ARM chip. So whatever the block diagram we discuss is known as ARM core. So whatever shown here with a blue shaded rectangle box, this is nothing but a ARM core. But only ARM core is not sufficient, because you require so many other things. If simple ARM core without any other peripheral is simply like a human without legs, hands and eyes and ears. So you require so many other things along with the ARM core. So you require to interface GPIOs, general purpose IO pins. You require to interface timers. You require to interface real-time clock. You require to interface DMA, direct memory access. You require precision oscillators. You require clocks and reset pins. You require a watchdog timers. You require analog to digital converters. You require analog comparator, temperature sensor, voltage regulator, and For communication purpose, you require a USART, universal synchronous asynchronous receive transmit. You require Ethernet, USB, CAN, that is controller area network protocol, SPI, serial peripheral interface protocol, I2C, that is inter-integrated circuit protocol, I2S, and many other peripherals as per the requirement, as per the applications. You also require to interface external memory. That means it will be also available in a chip, but it is not a part of ARM core. So different chip manufacturers will incorporate different types of memory, like a flash memory, SRAM. So now ARM is basically company which provides only a core. So it is licensing core to different vendors, and it is a chip manufacturer who will purchase ARM core, pay for the license to ARM, and then attach all the peripherals as per the requirement, as per the applications, and produce number of chips. Million number of chips are available in ARM. On the first day, I think some of you have studied, searched in Google that how many companies are producing ARM chip. You found, somebody told us that 1,000 search is there. So many companies are producing ARM chip. So this is a very simplified block diagram of ARM chip. I think I already uploaded datasheet of ARM LPC 2148 on Google Classroom. I will also upload it today in Microsoft Team. Now onwards, you will be able to take the resources either from Microsoft Team or from the Google Classroom, and later on you can refer whenever you require. Today I am also recording this lecture, and I will be placing the link of this lecture on a YouTube. So later on, those some part if you skip, then later on you can refer this lecture whenever you require. So there are basically total 37 registers are there, and every register is a 32-bit in length. In AVR you have studied 8-bit registers, and I think the name given was again the same, R0 to R31. In ARM also the same name is given, R0 to R15, but at a time only we can use 16 registers, because some register banks are here available only in interrupt modes. So at a time only 16 will be available to us. And you know that in a RISC architecture about 80 registers are there. Here number of registers are less because we want to save power, we want to save the chip area. As number of registers are less, it will occupy less space on the chip, your chip size will reduce, as well as power consumption will also reduce. R0 to R7 are unbanked register, that means it is available in all modes. Separate registers are not available in different modes. R0 and R7 are unbanked mode registers and available in every mode. Same 32-bit physical registers in all processor modes. This is for R0 to R7. Register R8 to R14 are banked registers. Let us understand what is the meaning of banked register and unbanked register. Let's say, for example, this diagram is visible to you. ARM registers R0 to R15 is shown on the screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are the registers visible at a time. Suppose if you are in a user mode or in a system mode, then these R0 to R15 are visible, as well as one CPSR. CPSR is a current program status register that is visible. Then suppose if you enter in a fast interrupt mode, that is known as a FIQ. It's a fast interrupt request mode. Then R0 and R7 will remain as it is, but you will get a fresh copy of R8 to R14. Fresh copy means the previous copy of R8 and R14 will be intact as it is. It will be kept intact, but separate copy of R8 to R14 will be available to you. So you did not worry about saving the value of R8 to R14 in a stack memory. Normally in other controllers what happens that whenever you switch to the interrupt mode, you have to save value of registers into stack area and using a push instruction or some other kind of instruction. And whenever you come back from interrupt mode to main program, you have to pop value of all those registers. You have to get back all the registers from memory to your registers, and it will consume lot of time, and because of that your interrupt will be delayed. That is known as a latency in the interrupt execution. But in an ARM processor we want to execute our interrupt very fast, so we don't want to waste our time in saving the content of registers into the stack memory. So that is the idea here, that separate fetch copy is given to you, so you should not worry about saving the value of registers in a stack. But of course you have to take care about R0 to R7, because the fetch copy of R0 and R7 is not given to you. So whatever the values of R0 and R7 available in your main program, in a subroutine, if you want to disturb it intentionally, then it's okay, you can disturb it. Otherwise, if your intention is such that your main content and subroutine content should be a different, then you need to take care about this R0 to R7. Otherwise, if you are using R8 to R14, then you need not worry about, because the fresh copy will be given to you in a FIQ routine, that is a fast interrupt mode. So as you can see that 16 register here plus 1 CPSR 17, and then this R8, R9, R10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So these are the extra registers. So when you add all these things of all modes, then it will become 37. So I will show you another mode, that is a supervisor mode. Instead of FIQ mode, if you are entering in a supervisor mode, this supervisor register set is visible on the screen. Okay. Then in a supervisor mode, R13 and R14 separate copy is available, as well as SPSR is available. So now let us understand why this SPSR is given. Normally CPSR means it is a current program status register, means it will have a value of flags, like your flags will be carry flag, zero flag, overflow flag, sign flag, parity flag, etc. Whenever you are moving to the interrupt routine, or you are changing the mode from normal mode to supervisor mode, you want to save this value of status register. Normally in 8085 processor and all that, we use the instruction like push PSW to save this status register into a stack memory, and it takes time. Naturally, whenever you are doing stack operations, it will take a time. But in ARM, it is not required, because fresh copy of status register is given to you. So whatever CPSR is there, it will be automatically saved, and fresh copy of CPSR will be made available to you. So you need not worry about the a status of flags which was there in your main program. Automatically it will be saved and it will be available as a SPSR. Whenever you will go back to your main program again, sorry, I think I will start my own mobile internet, because electricity has gone, but still my battery is there is some charge is available.